I've tried clicking a few things to see if I can get the pictures up, but nothing's showing up.
What's going on, everybody? Josh Morris here with the Paranormal Council, which means joining me is going to be Bob Fountain, Stacy Talich, and Sean Carter. How you doing, folks? How you doing, gentlemen? I use that term loosely.
Great to be here, Josh. Glad to be here.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I'm glad we could get everybody together. Now, my wife, Terry Lynn, she may also join us tonight. She's running around and she's trying to get ready so she can click the link whenever she wants to join us. We might be able to get her in here also. So I'm excited to talk about tonight's show. I know we're going to be covering, just to let you guys know, for those of you that can't join us and you're watching this later on, tonight's show we're going to be talking, we got three major subjects. Well, maybe not major. A couple of them are major. But one of them, which we're going to dive into here in a little bit, is the four horsemen. We want to talk about the four seals out of the seven seals, but that four horsemen, we're going to really dive into that. We got some opinions and all kinds of stuff we're going to get into, and maybe some explanations. Also, we're going to get into talking about mirrors. I know that it may sound a little odd, but when you really think about it, there's so many people have weird little beliefs about mirrors. I run into people all the time. Some of them say they're portals. We'll get into it, but all kinds of different beliefs. And also, somebody also brought up, since ghosts can sometimes react and there's some intelligence sometimes communication-wise, are there other senses that are being simulated with ghosts? Can they sense things? Can they smell things? Can they taste things by any chance? So who knows? I figure we're going to dive into those. So, guys, I want to dive into the mirrors first because I know the Horsemen is like one of our major subjects. I can't wait to dive into that. But let's get going. Let's do a little foreplay with the mirrors first, right? That sounds weird. Let's just get it started on some appetizer with the mirrors. Let's talk mirrors, guys. I'm gonna go around to each of you. Let me know. Let's get Terry Lynn's popping in here. Let's get her in the stream. Welcome, Terry Lynn. She's like, oh God,
nothing.
Hey,
Miss Terry Lynn.
She's like, you're on. We can
already.
Yes.
Really?
We're on live. That's okay.
Nothing to see.
All right. But
Hey,
no,
everyone.
we're just getting ready to start. I did all the intro, honey. Don't worry about it.
You were live?
Yes, we're live. So yes. What happened? We just lost Bob's like, I'm out.
You.
Huh?
I told you Bob don't like me.
What? No. Bob's like, I'm out. No, I'm just kidding. He I don't know. But we're just getting ready to dive into start talking about mirrors. And here we go. Let's get Bob back up. All right, Bob. There you go. You blipped out on us. I thought maybe you ran away from Terry Lynn.
Well, I did because I've said some things to her, and if she can ever find me, I'm probably going to get beat up.
So, all right. So I'm going to go around and go to each of you and give you. Why don't you guys give us your opinion on mirrors? Now, again, do you think a mirror is just a reflective surface? Does it hold any other power? Supernatural? Is it a window to other dimensions? What do you think? I mean, they've been around in times of BC. They used to be made of obsidian, like polished obsidian. Eventually, they went to like the silver mirrors for the long time there. But let's start up with Sean here because I'm looking at my screen. I don't know how your guys' order is, but I'm just going to go in this order. So, Sean, we're going to start with you. What do you think about mirrors?
Well, yeah, I think there are definitely some things to them. I know that I have a good friend who is in Eastern philosophy, and they use a lot of mirrors for a lot of different things. Meditation, a lot of meditation stuff, scrying, used. I know John Dee had a lot of scrying and how he got the Enochian language and all that. So, yeah, there's some things to it. A regular mirror, I don't think there's too much to it. There's probably rituals and things like that to activate. But as far as experiences that I've had, yeah, I've had to deal with certain mirrors at certain locations because of the rituals and stuff that was done with them. We've had to close those portals out and to deal with the entities that came out, and we had to stop the practices that involved them. But I could go on and on, but I like to hear some of the others for real quick.
Okay. Stacy, you're up next. What do you think about mirrors?
Well, Sean's absolutely correct. With the scrying, I mean, Nostradamus, that's what he used. He would pour mercury into a bowl and then pour water into the bowl. So the reflection it was a feedback loop, and he would look into that to find, basically his divination process. In Latin American cultures, particularly where you have Santeria, they have what's known as an etutu, which is a funeral where they basically have somebody watch over the dead in the house for a 3-day period because, well, sometimes they get back up and they want to make sure that they actually stay in the coffin. But they cover all of the mirrors because the spirit can actually go into the mirror and get trapped. It's not only a portal, but it's also a prison in of itself.
Like the Phantom Zone in Superman.
Kind of. That's what I was thinking of.
I know. That's what I'm sorry. I had to go there.
But if you, even some of the well-known sites that paranormal investigators go to, like Myrtle's Plantation, they have a big mirror in Myrtle's Plantation that has the face of the woman who is the slave who was executed there, burned into the mirror itself. And she apparently comes in and out of this mirror because it's basically her anchor to the physical realm. For whatever reason, mirrors act as not only a doorway, but an anchor to that. Now, in Santeria itself, there's the goddess Oshun. She is the goddess of money, love, children, all of these sorts of things, but she's also the goddess of beauty. Her sacred object is the mirror, but it's not. But it's not for vanity. It's for truth. Whenever she points the mirror at you, it's a handheld mirror, like you would, see to look at yourself in the round thing. She points that to you. It's basically the lasso of truth at that point. You have to tell the truth, regardless of whether or not you want to. And it's basically strips you naked of anything that you have done and said, and produces shame and all these sorts of things, because it is the lasso of truth, but it is a mirror. That's her sacred object. Throughout history, it's a lot of the same things. It is mystified in a lot of different ways, having to deal with the dead.
Okay. Bob, what do you think about mirrors now that you finally get to join the show and we worked out your demon voice?
Yeah, well, we still got other issues here because all you guys are frozen on the screen. I can't see it at all. But anyway, from a materialistic point of view, a mirror is a mirror. I mean, it has no special powers or anything. But some of the things you talk about, putting the black over the mirrors, that started out in 1786. That's the first time they recorded doing it, and it was to keep a soul from getting trapped in the mirror. But also, one of the histories of breaking a mirror, 7 years bad luck. No one knows why they picked 7 years. And breaking the mirror supposedly freed out the souls that was trapped in there, and they were angry. Well, heck, if they were trapped in the mirror, you broke it. I don't know why that'd be bad luck. They're probably going to be patting you on the back and congratulating you for letting them go free. But as far as being a portal, I don't think they're a portal as much as they're a focus point. They're like a tool. In remote viewing, I believe you have a pencil and paper to scribble down some of the things, your impressions in that. All that mirror's doing is giving you something to focus on. Back when long back time ago. Lamaze, they did that. You know, you get to go in the help deliver the baby, which I might add is not a good thing to be doing, because your wife's screaming in pain. You don't want to be that close to her. But anyway, what they used to do is they'd have like a little statue of a child that they'd give you, and they'd stick it next to the bed and say, just focus on that to help get rid of the pain. So basically, it was a tool like that. And the mirrors are being used the same way. Dr. Raymond Moody, he uses mirrors in some of his practice for out-of-body experiences and for people to explore past lives. And he had a place actually set up at his house where people could come and sit there and view mirrors for that reason. I mean, there is metaphysical points for having the mirror there. As far as a portal, you could call almost anything a portal. A radio, when it puts out the sound for you, it's a portal. It's going from one energy form to another. So the mirrors, they're not that big a thing to me. I look in the mirror, all I see is something old and wrinkled, which is important.
All right. So Terry Lynn, your mic's muted, by the way, just in case you didn't, catch that. No, she just bounced. She's like, "Oh, you called on me, I'm out." See, everybody just bounces on me. She's like, "Oh man." But hopefully she'll be back. I'll just throw out my things, and if you guys want to come back to anything that I say too, I'm also curious as to, because we talk about portals and mirrors. I know like when you go to certain houses, there's when you get the mirrors facing each other, right? That's another thing, right? When it's supposed to be a portal, when they face each other. So like in the Stanley Hotel, they've got those sections where it's just like mirror and mirror, and it's supposedly supposed to be a major portal for that type of stuff as well. So if you guys want to comment on any of the double mirror stuff, you're welcome to as well. I personally, I don't know if I've ever recorded or experienced anything specific. I think that there's been things captured in mirrors sometimes. I don't know if I found anything legitimate myself. So I don't know. There's sometimes there seems to be something with reflections in general, where it seems as if you're capturing specific, like it's almost like you can see paranormal in certain reflections versus just like when you take a picture. I don't know. It's odd to me. I don't know if there's something to that. I've never really put a lot of like theory thought into it. But just in my own experiences, I've never really captured more like stronger evidence around a mirror or something. But it is freaky and it's fun to play with, like with using mirrors to, and then there's the folklore of the Bloody Mary stuff. Kids, spinning around and saying Bloody Mary, and whether they're putting some kind of intention out there, and looking at themselves. Now, I do know that back in the day when they were doing in the older days, and even nowadays they use the obsidian to do the scrying. They use the polished obsidian, and I know that some of that stuff you look in the reflection of polished obsidian and it warps your face already just looking at it. It's not always smooth. Now I did see some of them that were smoothed out almost to like literally a mirror finish, but a lot of them also have that kind of rough look and will kind of warp some things. Not that I'm saying that's why you see anything. It's interesting. I've never really seen anything proof, but I wanted to talk about it because I know, again, we've got a huge, great collection of minds here. So for those of you folks that are joining us, remember, everybody that's on the show has a background they're slightly different, or we all have. That's why we made the Paranormal Council. I myself, I'm a paranormal researcher, ghost hunter. I have a certain open mind, Christian values sometimes. Sean Carter, does a lot of research, learned a lot of different cultures, studies stuff. He's also a Baptist minister. I believe that's the title, right? And Stacy, Pio Mayombe, right? I always screw that up.
Paulo Mayombe.
Yeah, and I just say whatever. I guess I don't know. He's Palma, no, but no, he's got a huge background. Super intelligent, very knowledgeable. Same thing with Bob Fountain. A lot of knowledge. Bob Fountain writes for Paranormal Underground magazine. He's working on some other projects. Has a team, and he does a lot of by the book type investigations. And of course, my wife, who I don't know where she went, but hopefully we'll get her back on. And she's been involved in the paranormal as well for many, many years. And there she is. She's trying to pop in here. Honey, you there?
I'm trying to be.
I hear you. I see you. I love your new name now. I'm still new to this. So now that you're back on, we can maybe get your opinion on mirrors. What do you think about mirrors? Like, do they scare you, or what do you think?
Well, if I'm looking at them, yeah. As far as portals and spirits and stuff, I don't know much about the whole mirrors. I just know that in my house, I'm like looking at Stacy there. In my house of horrors, I'm in the bathroom. I don't know, Stacy, if you remember, in the middle bathroom, you'll see there's a shower. Well, there's a mirror that was up against another mirror. And I used to, as a kid, sit on that bathroom counter, and I would take the mirror, and it was a medicine cabinet mirror. I don't know if any of you guys used to do that when you were younger. Put a mirror in front of a miror. I didn't realize what I was doing at the time. It's probably not a good thing to do in this haunted house that I lived in. But I would do that, and I always try to see to the end of that mirror, and it always make me feel weird. But as far as spirits, I don't know. I'm nervous, guys. Why am I nervous? I'm on a Sean Carter and Bob Fountain, and of course, I'm in front of.
That's all right. Well, I know you got all kinds. Well, and that's the thing, honey. I'm glad you're on the show. I mean, you have a lot of knowledge, and you and I talk all the time. And whether or not
we're married,
whether or not
Bob hates me, just like later.
No, I think that happened before when we had him when the last time his microphone worked, he kind of was popping in and out at times. But anyways, if you guys know that you just click on that link, you can come back anytime. So
I had to find the link. It went to junk.
I know. Yeah. Oh, did it go to your junk mail?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I sent you a text on your phone. But anyways, all right.
No, so I don't pay attention to my phone when I'm live.
I know. I try. I usually have it on silent, but all right. So I don't know. Did you guys, Stacy, Sean, did you guys have any last parting comments after hearing everybody's take on mirrors? Did you have anything you wanted to add or suggest?
I probably made things worse in my house by doing that. Go ahead.
Well, we'll, kind of talking about the mirrors and setting up, I used to teach self-defense, and we used to do small arm tactics and stuff like that. And for home defenses, we used to train people how to set their mirrors up in their room and in their house so they can actually see into the room before they even get there. And I had an interesting story. One of the ladies called me back. She was like, she was freaking out because she actually caught, I believe, like a shadow person that was moving into the other room. And so as I've done more research on it from the aspect of paranormal, I do hear a lot of people talk about whether it's and you guys may know this and heard about this too, like when TVs are off, the black screens,
right?
People will see things moving in the background and stuff like that, and they'll turn around and there's nothing there. Now,
right.
Obviously, there's things that the fan could the distortion, kind of like you talked about a while ago. That distortion can be a lot of it, but also done a lot of research into it, and there is a lot of stories of one reasons why they use that the shining surface is to tell if the spirits were around, so then they could start talking to the spirits. So, right. But I'll just kind of pass it off there.
No, that's good. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's just weird. It's one of those subjects you don't hear a lot about. People really don't think about it a whole lot, but then when you talk to people about it, they tell you like either there's of course the superstition stuff, whether it's breaking mirrors, but even just them talking about they're afraid to look at. Some people are afraid to look in their mirrors at night. You know, some people are afraid of their mirrors or the Bloody Mary or even the Candyman stuff. You know, anything that's spooky and mirrors, they really plays with their psyche and stuff. So there's a lot of people, and some people say yes, it's another dimension, or like you just start hearing some weird things every once in a while. So I just thought it'd be really interesting to actually talk about it with you guys and see what you think. So that's awesome. Any other last parting words any of you guys have on mirrors?
I had one investigation with a young girl that were having poltergeist activity pretty much. But when she went in her bedroom, she had a mirror up on the wall and she thought something moved by her when she was walking by. And I tried to explain, well, that was probably your own peripheral vision picking it up. She said, yeah, but when I went in the bathroom, she said I was getting something from behind the medicine cabinet. When I shut the mirror back closed, there was somebody standing behind me with silver eyes. And then she let out a scream and almost passed out. I mean, that's like from a movie or something. But
right,
yeah, apparently some things can manifest. Well, a spirit to manifest, all it's got to do is manipulate that energy where you can actually see it. There's no reason why it can't do the same thing on the surface of a mirror.
Yeah, I'll admit. Look, I'm just gonna say it now. Anytime I've closed a medicine cabinet, I look down. I don't know why. I can't. I'll admit it. I don't like to look when it shuts. Okay, I'm just saying that. I'll admit it.
The Hollywood popcorn shot.
I know it is, and it sticks with you. So it's like and then because like, and I also in the back of my mind's going, well, you know, I'm involved in paranormal, and they're going to try to talk to me, and what way to communicate with me than show up right in the mirror, like, you know, classic shot. So yeah, to this day, I still look down when I shut it real quick. I just look down real quick and I look up.
Is that one of the things you ask during your paraplegic deals? Is that one of the things you ask them before you go to a house? Is there going to be mirrors in there?
I don't know. I don't, like I said, I don't really ever focus on the mirror aspect too much. You know, I just really never think about it a whole lot, to be honest with you. But the only times we would really tend to talk about it is like sometimes even like Terry Lynn will be at an investigation or will watch an investigation, and she'll notice like a place where there's two mirrors facing each other. So we'll keep things like that in mind to whether document like if it's something paranormal that's going to happen, things like that. So we'll keep that in mind if we see a couple mirrors facing each other, but most of the time we just don't even really think about it. And I don't really do any kind of mirror scrying or anything. So, but yeah, Matt, just want to take a quick second out to thank everybody that's watching. Appreciate you guys. I see you. You see me. She popped in here earlier. She was actually here early this time. Must not have had to work late or whatever. And Matt Barron, paranormal consultant, who I was on his show and he was on my show. Good guy. He's been doing some stuff for a while. I'm excited to see his show evolve in the future. And so he popped in there. And of course, just us chatting, I think, in there. So those two have been very active. I appreciate you guys. Matt even said, I think some of the fear comes from Hollywood. Even people who don't watch horror movies, they know about mirrors. So yeah, it's in pop culture, I think. So
there is a show that I'm working on right now in the background, and it is on mirrors. I've already done one show on mirrors on my channel, but just kind of pass this along. There is a legend there with Bruce Lee. You know, he done the Enter the Dragon, and there's the scene in the Enter the Dragon where he's in the house of what we call the House of Mirrors, where they're all reflecting. And someone had wrote, even in his own, his wife Linda actually said that he spent another 7 hours in that room by himself, that he was intrigued by that room. And some have even proposed that maybe he was seeing things kind of like in seeing the spiritual things inside that room, which I'm going to kind of try to dig into that more later on. But it's just interesting that something like that, that would be kind of like a very intimidating room for me to be in, I think. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, and like the mirror mazes and stuff like that, always but it's polarizing in a way. It's not, and I don't know if that's just because it's neat to see the infinity mirror action, and you're just kind of like, wow, how far can I see? And there's always, it's never as far as you think you can see, because it always somehow, there's always some slight imperfection that eventually it starts to curve away or something. And no matter how far you look down, it eventually starts to move off course, and you just can't see to the end, of course. But it's neat, it's polarizing, but you wonder if you also are gonna get sucked into some kind of portal or things like that, in the sense of just your mind. I don't know. That's really cool though. But yes, the Bruce Lee thing, that's what I was thinking too when he was in that Enter the Dragon scene. It's like, God, he's like in a major portal. So, I mean, all right. So let's move on. I think we spent plenty of time on mirrors, and so folks, one of the subjects we're going to get in, I want to get into the Four Horsemen. I know a lot of people probably are watching this video waiting for that. So we're going to get into that. And then at the end, hopefully, if we have some time, I do want to touch on what we talked about earlier with ghosts. Can they taste? Can they smell? I want to touch.
Oh, I missed that.
No. We're going to do that toward the end if we can.
Oh.
Yeah. We're gonna
That's
dive.
my question.
We're gonna dive into the meat of the show.
Now I'm telling why too.
Right. I hope ghosts don't smell. I don't. If they don't, they don't need to be around me a whole lot. But especially after taco night, you know what I'm saying? All right. So,
separate room.
but yeah. So guys, Four Horsemen. All right. I want to let Stacy kick this one off because I want him to really set the stage on some things. And so, Stacy, let's get into the Four Horsemen.
Well, did you want to start off with the whole zeitgeist theory that we were talking about before?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to just kind of get into, well, I guess maybe we should set the stage on what exactly we were referencing with the Four Horsemen. A little brief summary, and then I think maybe talk a little bit about what your zeitgeist theory and stuff too, so that way you can kind of dive into it. But let the folks know a little bit. I've got to go 1 second, but go ahead.
Well, the Four Horsemen themselves, the order in which they appear in the Book of Revelations, in which they say they're going to appear. I've been looking at a lot of ministers online on a consensus of this, and they don't seem to have a consensus on this. They, the order in which they appear in the Bible doesn't necessarily mean that's the order in which they will appear, at least based off of what I've been getting. The first one being the plagues, the second one being famine, the third one being war, and the fourth one being death. Now, what I was referring to before with the zeitgeist is I have a running theory that everybody on the planet is connected in a consciousness, a common consciousness, where we all essentially move in a particular direction. Now, there have been scientific studies to show that this is true. One is called the 100 monkey study, 100 monkey experiment, where they put monkeys on all of these separate islands and then gave them nothing but coconuts to eat, and they had to figure out how to eat the coconuts or they die. And they noticed that once 100 monkeys across the entire archipelago figured out how to do it, they all knew it simultaneously. Whether or not they had actually figured it out or not up to that point, all of these monkeys knew how to crack open a coconut and eat it. Basically showing that there is a consciousness, a common consciousness, a hive mind deep in the subconscious that allows them to do that. There have been coincidences in human history that show the same thing. Marconi and Nikola Tesla invented the radio at the exact same time. Marconi got credit for it, but only by a few hours because he filed a patent in Europe. And then a few hours later, Tesla filed his patent, so they gave Marconi the inventor of the radio. Tesla had the dial and whatever. There have been many times that scientists have invented the same thing at the same time, and they had no contact with each other. And this consciousness, the zeitgeist, is prevalent throughout the globe. They've done a lot of experiments with this, with prayers, things of that sort. What I have been getting of late, and this is coming from my communications with the dead, is that there is also a parallel, a negative zeitgeist or an anti-zeitgeist. They actually refer to as the Antichrist spirit, which is weird for me because I'm not Christian, and why they keep referring to it as Antichrist was a little bit confusing to me. But I've been researching over and over again all over the internet for this negative consciousness that is becoming more and more prevalent. And what I'm coming up against is the concepts of the four horsemen. And then, again, I'm not Christian and I'm not following the biblical prophecies, but the dead appear to be pointing in that direction, that this is where everything is going. And we've crossed the point of no return, and it's on its way. We're here. It's happening. And I'm really interested to find out, because again, I've been looking at all of these other ministers online, and none of them know what they're talking about. And I wanted to get a perspective from Sean on what he thinks on that subject. He may not even be apocalyptic in his focus, but I'm sure he's got perspective.
Yeah, I mean, Sean, go ahead if you want to take this.
Well, it's such a deep focus, and like you said, when you listen to a lot of ministers, a lot of prophecy teachers, I've got friends that have, if they consider themselves experts, and I would probably consider themselves experts in these areas. And the biggest thing is that the book of Revelation is such a esoteric, such a symbolic, and such, as you've already pointed out, Stacey, things are not going to happen as we see chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. And so that it just happens. As far as the four horsemen goes, it's actually an old ancient Near Eastern motif that we're looking at. It's actually found in Ezekiel chapter 14, verse 21 is where we kind of start seeing this motif. But the gods would come in, even ancient Near Eastern gods like Baal, and some of the other ancient Sumerian gods and stuff like that, Egyptian gods as well, use this idea of judgment. And this idea of judgment comes in, like in Ezekiel 14, the Lord says, what are you going to do when I start judging you? Sounds like one of the wrestlers. What are you going to do? But what was his name? I forgot. But anyway, but he would always say, what are you going to do when these pythons get a hold of you? But when you get God, and God comes in and says, okay, what are you going to do when I destroy your nation through the bow, which is in Revelations chapter 6, verse 2. One of the horsemen is actually the bow. He carries the white horse. And you see this motif even inside of theistic Satanism, even in Muslim belief systems, of the victor riding the white horse. Well, the white horse comes in to conquer. He brings war. He brings in destruction of your nation. So he's talking about one, destruction of a nation. Two, when he talks about the red horse takes the peace away. So he's talking about being able to kill. He has the battle to. He has the power to kill at will. There's no power on earth going to stop that. And it's kind of interesting as you put the white horse and red horse together, and then you start having in verse 5, you have the black horse coming out dealing with the scales. The scales is not just for food, where a lot of people think. God is saying, I'm going to balance things back out. You have been cheating your fellow man. You've been cheating me. So what are you going to do when I balance the scales? So it's kind of what he's coming back into there. And he says, and then one of my favorite horses to study is the last one, and that is the pale green horse.
Death.
And the reason is because this particular rider, he brings in the spiritual realm with him. If you notice, he says death and Hades. The idea of Hades there is the spiritual realm. And so he's bringing that spiritual realm in. That's kind of where I go very quickly as far as the idea of apocalyptic. I do believe that we are in, my personal opinion is that we are in the end times. I don't believe we're in the tribulational period yet. We're in the birth pains. And these apocalyptic signs is a judgment coming upon the earth, as we've seen in Ezekiel, to say, I'm going to take out your government. I'm going to take out your food. You're going to come back to me. And I'm going to also deal with the spiritual realm. And so it's interesting that you pointed out, Stacy, in something that I've been encountering. The spirit world knows that there's something happening, and it's beyond their control. And I'll just leave it at that. So,
well, I think it's really interesting too, because, you know, I was looking at what those different horsemen can mean. So I'm glad that you explained some of that too. And I was looking where the white horse was that conqueror, and how there was a lot of possible translation to pestilence and things like that. It makes it interesting. So when you say, so do you think, now you said that tribunal period. So, but does that mean that you think that these four horsemen are starting the actions?
I think that they're always in play. And what I mean by that is that they come and they go. It is God from a Christian standpoint. Now I'm just bringing it from a Christian standpoint.
Right.
God is the one instituting this. He's the one bringing and releasing horsemen. They're not riding on their own. And that's the whole idea here. You know, a lot of ministers, a lot of people get upset when I say some of this stuff, because I try to go with what the Bible actually says and not try to read into it or not try to put things there.
Right.
And what we see is the Lord is instigating all of this. The Antichrist, he has very little power, actually. He's used to do part of this. If you look at the study of the Antichrist through 1 John, 2 John, and the book of Revelation, and go back to Daniel, one of the things you're really going to come up against is that God is using the Antichrist to fulfill all of these horsemen at one time. So I said all that to come back to say this, that, yeah, I think that the horsemen are riding constantly in judgment, but there will come a one particular point in time, and I think Stacy kind of mentioned this already, that we've crossed a threshold that in the past they've stopped riding. Now they're going to continue to ride, and this Antichrist is going to come in and put it all back into one major ball. and it's gonna come to a point, and that's just kind of where I'm going with that.
So now, when there is a scripture, and you were talking about, was it in Ezekiel when we're talking about the four, we're coming down in chariots? It was referring to them as spirits, right? But that wasn't really necessarily for the apocalypse type stuff, Revelations, but it was actually for some peacekeeping and stuff like that, right?
Right. Well, the Ezekiel 14, chapter 14, verse 21 is where God points out the four apocalypse, the same kind of four that we're dealing with here in Revelation. And basically he's saying that, but yeah, the angels that we see, the Ophanim and everything that we see there in chapter 1 of Ezekiel, they're holding the chariot of God. They're holding the throne of God. All that's the throne room. But it's also, we see that in iconography throughout ancient Near East. If you look at any throne room of ancient Near East at the same period, you'll see the exact same replica that we're seeing here in Scripture. Now, I'm not trying to devalue the Bible.
No.
Rather, trying to say, look, they are understanding the spiritual realm in a way that we're not.
Right.
And so, but the angels are coming in, or the entities, I should say, are coming in at different times doing different things.
So would you say that the spirit of the Antichrist is a negative consciousness, or a collective consciousness, a hive mind that is somehow overpowering, or even?
Well, the Bible says in several places that the spirit of the Antichrist is already at work in this world. He's already at play. The only thing the Bible says, the only thing that's restraining him at this moment is the Holy Spirit. And in 1 Thessalonians, he says, when he takes that restraining spirit away, that's when we think things are evil now. And this is what I constantly teach on here to church and in different places. We think it's bad now, and evil can be really bad. But wait, when evil is unrestrained. Right now, it's restrained. God is restraining it, and once the four horsemen are there to allow this stuff to actually, they're unrestrained, and that's kind of what I meant a while ago. The horsemen have been riding constantly through history. We see this. But they've been restrained at the very end, because, and this is what I explained to a lot of people too. People will say, well, there's always been wars and rumors of wars. We see that in Matthew chapter 24. But what we're seeing at the end of the time is an unrestrained war. Everything that we've seen right now has been restrained. Evil has not had its full bore at humanity. Satan has not had his full bore yet, but God is going to allow him to do that. And in the Bible, it says that there, and it's one of those chapters next to this where we're reading, the only thing that overcomes that is the power of the blood and the testimony of the saints. And so those are the things that we see there. And I hope that helps. I mean, I don't know if I'm getting there or not.
Right. Yeah. Well, just on a physical level, seeing a lot of changes happening with that spirit of the Antichrist. Like since the 20th century, there is 10 boxes you have to check in order to commit genocide. There's every time they've committed genocide, they've hit every single one of these 10 points in being able to do it in their own legal system, or in their own minds of whatever despot is running it. Even in Rwanda and all of that, they still hit every single one of these 10 spots. Right now, the United States is at number 7 out of the 10. Australia is at number 8. They're literally getting to the point to where they're getting ready to send people off to concentration camps because of the shot. People are refusing to get the shot. Here in the United States, the media is openly saying that people who don't get the vax, we hope they die. We hope you die because you do not have the vaccination. This is openly that's one of the check marks.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
committing genocide. This spirit of the Antichrist seems to be people you would consider to be intelligent, compassionate people are now
Yeah.
turning bloodlust into a profession. And, it's astounding to me watching it all take place and having the dead reaffirm it over and over again that this is coming. And, you could ask my wife. I've been driving her nuts with watching all the sermons on YouTube, trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
She's like, "What's with all the sermons?"
Right.
But nobody seems to know what they're talking about.
Well,
and here's why, because I look at prophecy a little bit different than a lot of people do, and that is, I don't believe that we're meant to understand it until it actually is happening.
right.
I don't believe that we can sit here and say that this will be the mark of the beast and this will be the Antichrist. I get so tired of people. I have actually good friends who I have had actually, like you said a while ago, gotten mad at me and unfriended me here in the last couple of weeks, simply because, I'm saying, look, you may think this is bad now, but this ain't the Antichrist. What we're seeing is the opening up of it, and the Holy Spirit's hand is being taken away, but it's not away yet. Once that Holy Spirit hand is away from the earth, and they're able to ride unabated, we're going to see hell that we've never seen before.
Right. Now, I want to pop in here real quick because I want to give a chance for Terry Lynn or Bob. They haven't had a chance to add anything to the Four Horsemen conversation. And Terry Lynn, if you don't want to, that's cool. I get it. I just wanted to give you that opportunity to pop in there. I know Bob just kind of popped out on us. He's been coming and going based on his internet up and downs, I think. So, but I didn't want to leave him out. One thing there's a couple things I want to get to on the Four Horsemen, and we'll get to that in a second.
I'm already a nervous wreck about that.
That's all right, honey. Like I said, don't worry. I mean, is there anything you do want to add on maybe the Four Horsemen or the times that are going on right now? Do you think that we are in maybe some end of time type stuff?
Oh, that's starting in December. Yeah. January, December. Yeah. I mean, I was scared to death. I mean, I was dreaming about it. I was seeing it. I was seeing the sky red. I didn't like what I was seeing at all,
Right.
So, I don't know. And things are not seeming to get better at all. In fact, things have gotten worse, like we said they were going to.
And they're probably not going to get better, unfortunately. But all we can do is, I think, and for us, is just hang on to the ride and try to help our fellow, persons out, and like your friends, take care of your friends as much as you can, and support each other along this path. So, but okay, so I want to get and focus on the Four Horsemen as well. Is let's look at what some possible signs that of what they do now. So, for example, the first one to appear, the first seal, was a white horse, right? A living creature on a white horse with a crown and a bow, sent out to conquer. Some people have also referred this as pestilence. There's been a lot of speculation. So I want to throw this out there. So let's just focus on this first one. What if this first one?
Could have muted my microphone.
That's okay. What if this first horse, the first horseman, could be sort of a combination of pestilence and conquer? Because let's look at our situation now in the world. We have this couth pandemic, right? I don't want to say the word. You guys know what I'm saying, right? The beer bug. Okay. We have the couth pandemic. It's not a bubonic plague. Let's just put that out there. It's not deadly itself, but it is being used in nefarious ways politically, through leaders of the countries to control their subjects, their constituents, however you want to put it. It's being used to control people. And these lockdowns have caused some problems financially, things like that. So keep that in mind. That first one, and that can, in my opinion, go toward conquering, right? Conquering the globe through this use of, the virus and stuff like that. So, what do you guys think? You think there's something to that possibility?
Well, I think it's interesting. Right off the bat, in Book of Revelations, they have the beast with the 7 heads, with the 7 crowns, and what they're describing is a chimera. Well, what this virus is literally called a chimera. It is a combination of animal and human DNA that have been combined together to infect humans. Something that doesn't exist in nature was manufactured, and they literally call it a chimera virus, is now being used in this fashion.
Okay.
That's, I mean, it's almost like they're laying it out to you. They read the book and they said, well, let's try this because that's what they're all looking for. So let's give it to them.
Right now, I'm going to tie in this first horse with some more, but I want to hear Sean's take on this first horse as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think you hit something there. And if you notice, the first 3 horses actually have pestilence. And if, without going into a whole ton of study on this, I can actually link this back to Psalm 103, where it talks about pestilence, and pestilence in these areas are also spirit driven.
Right.
And so, just adding that, each horse is going to have a connection to the other horse.
Sure.
The pestilence, the conquering, all that's going to be, but also the spiritual realm. And see, Bob is back on with us there.
Bob, while you're here, did you have anything you wanted to add on the 4 horsemen while we were talking about it? Because I know, Sean and Stacy's really been talking about it, and myself. But did you have anything you wanted to add to the 4 horsemen thing?
No, well, pretty much I've been paying attention to what they're saying, and I pretty much agree with them. But from a metaphysical point of view, the 4 horsemen might be akin to, there's a theory out there that the Earth has its own consciousness. It's Gaia, it's called, where every living thing has a conscious soul to it, basically. And when the Earth starts having turmoils and troubles, it takes care of it. That's why, when they had a lot of plagues like the Spanish flu, COVID, all kinds of bad stuff was going on in the Earth at that particular time. And all of a sudden, a pandemic comes through, wipes out half the population, and everybody starts realizing that they should love each other and help each other, and everything gets back to an even keel again.
Isn't that the Thanos effect?
Yeah, awful close to it.
Right.
But I was reading up kind of the other day on some of the 4 horsemen stuff, and depending on which ministry you listen to, each one's got a take on it. One thought the white horse was Jesus coming back, and another one said no, that'd be the devil's on the white horse. And like anything else, like religion period, everybody has their own view on it, and probably none of them's right and none of them's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's a really good point, Bob. So what I want to do is start working into the second horse real quick too, and I'm just kind of going in order by the seals that come open, right? And so the second horse is the red fiery one for war. That seems to be pretty straightforward. And I would say if you look at the world now, again, I'm just trying to use the world right now. So we talked about the white horse with the we're talking about the white horse with the pestilence and the conquering. Well, guess what? If you notice right now what's going on, the world right now is situating itself to possibly have a lot of war. I mean, we have weakness in our leadership right now in the White House. with Afghanistan, what's going on over there. It's tragic, and we are looking weak to other countries. China is now licking their chops. They've been wanting to invade, was it Thailand or whatever, or Taiwan? They got, and of course, the Taliban's just like, hey, we're going to roll right in, and you ain't going to do nothing about it. What are you going to do?
I don't know if you've noticed, too, current events-wise, 2 days ago, Russia and Nigeria, OPEC nations, decided to stop using the dollar. The petrodollar has officially died, which is what keeps the United States dollar.
Right.
The other countries have tried to do that. Saddam Hussein tried to do that. Gaddafi tried to do that. We went in there and we wiped them out for trying to do that. And now Russia and Nigeria and China and the rest of the OPEC nations have decided, you know what? The United States is so weak right now. We're going to do that now.
Right. And see, and that's my point is, could this be the red horse that we're seeing as well? Now, like I said, I know they all kind of tie in. I'm just taking it one step at a time, but I've got to tie in into the third as well. Let's Stacey, you want to finish up that comment at all, or I'm going to move?
No. It just on an economic scale, that is usually the precipice for all wars is the economy and money.
Right.
And right now, that's at the heart of everything from CBDC, cryptocurrency, petrodollar. All of it is a hot dumpster fire right now. And the United States can do nothing except go to war. They have no more leverage anywhere.
Right. Now, Sean, what do you think about that theory with the red horse and the war?
When you look at the passage, one of the things I noticed was it says he went out with he was given a large sword. And a lot of times with scripture, when there's something reiterated and given a size, you need to kind of pay attention to it. And this large sword, oftentimes, especially in ancient Near Eastern philosophy, the large sword meant they had the ability to cut large, obviously a larger knife, a larger sword, a larger cut. And that's kind of where it's heading. That's really, like you said, I think you're on target there. It means a lot of war. It means a lot of, and it says that they were killing one another. That's the war is fighting nation against nation.
Right. Not just one actual war, but can be many, right? Yeah.
It's not just one big it's one big ball of war, but it's many different people fighting on many different levels.
Right. And I think Stacey pointed that out too with some of the world news of different countries. And I'm sure there's a bunch of other little countries starting to grow a pair of balls, if you will, saying, hey, the superpower America is kind of on its knees, literally Joe Biden kneeling in a photo. Anyways, so they're seeing these images, they're seeing this weakness on the global stage, and I'm sure a lot of countries that are starting to say, hey, and some other countries starting to sweat it out because they used to have that. They could count on protection, and they had the wolves at the gate, so to speak. So third seal, which is the black horse, the guy with the scales, if you will, the living creature with the scales. And of course, I know, Sean, you talked about the balance that God was talking about. Now, I look at with the passage when it talks about the cost of some of the ingredients that are very the wheat and the barley, right? I think the cost is so high in the Bible. It's like a day's wages, right? But the oil, and these are the luxuries, right? What is it? The oil and what's the other thing, Sean?
Yeah, you done got me in a blank. Sorry.
But anyways, but it talks about the cost difference, so to speak, and that they're gonna leave the oil alone, and oil is in like olive oil, but these are like luxury items. But the cost of everyday poor man stuff, really, like the essentials of life, that barley and wheat, bread making stuff, is so high. So in my mind, I'm also thinking, does this represent inflation? right? Modern inflation, which we are seeing, we're starting to see hyperinflation. Part again of everything that's going on. So that balance, that scale is becoming off. Everyday working people, our tolerance levels, our gas prices, everything is starting to go up all the time, that inflation. But yet the rich are still comfortable with what they're doing and the poor man. So again, I feel like, to me, this could be that third seal as well in act. So
Interestingly, too, I keep interrupting everyone.
no, go ahead, because I was about to, send it off to one of you.
Everybody knows about the Great Reset. They keep hearing about the Great Reset, where you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Well,
Right.
The second most used selling point for the Great Reset is the level playing field. Everybody's going to be on a level playing field. Well, I mean, they're literally talking about scales, the level of stuff. I mean, they're using the symbology to their advantage. They're selling you on something that is complete horseshit on what is going to take place, because they're not going to make it level. The rich are still going to own everything, and you're going to have to rent everything from them. It's not going to be everyone's the same, except everyone's going to be a slave. That's the whole concept of it. But it's a level playing field.
Right. Now, I want Sean to pop in here on this, because look, I pretty much think that he's pretty much going to say, like, I think you're onto something with the same thing, like with the first two. But what I want you to do, Sean, is I would like you to bring in the fourth seal, death. All right, the one to be named in the Bible, right? He was actually named, he, she, whatever. Death was named the pale. Okay, that was the description of the horse, pale. They all had colors, right? White, red, black, and pale. So I'm picturing like ghost, like ghostly, pale image, maybe Grim Reaper style, something like that. But so help us tie in, because they talk like death as in kind of the summary of all, like the sword, the pestilence. It uses all, and it's bringing in Hades, as you said, like that spiritual realm. So is this the soul collector going behind everything? What's up with number 4?
Yeah, I have studied number 4, and you'll never hear a preacher kind of talk about this that I know of. Maybe Steve Quayle, maybe L.A. Marzulli, maybe some of those guys will. But in first of all, pale green. Green is used oftentimes inside of not so much biblical understanding, but especially dark arts in Egyptian occult theology. We see green. Osiris is green because it represents, and then this is so important to what I'm about to say, represents being reborn. It means to be coming back to life again. So what we see with this pale horse is that there's this reference between death and Hades is coming with him. Now we think of death as the slaughter that we've been seeing already, but this is actually talking about the underworld. It is actually really talking about getting involved in where I'll just kind of tip my hat here already and say it this way. This fourth horse is going to be able to release the spiritual realm. There'll be, we hear a lot of people, especially in paganism, metaphysics, a lot of people talk about the veil. He's going to strip that veil. He's going to be able to bring in the spirits. And we also see that this is maybe also a tip to the hat of opening the great pit, where God sends down the angel with the key, and they open the bottomless pit, and out of that come the locust, stingrays, scorpion kind of dudes. I don't know what they are, but really the death and in the spiritual realm follow this guy, this entity, and he's going to be able to release this in a way. And again, this has been happening. We see great awakenings in spiritual New Age and stuff, from the 1700s, and we go back all the way through history. But again, once these horsemen have been given free reign, they're going to be able to open all these portals up.
Wow, and that sounds scary. I mean, this is like, and I know we get a little heavy. I try to joke around every once in a while to lighten the mood. So I would, if I could, I would love to just play a clip of the part where the Ghostbusters are talking to the mayor and they're like, cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. Like, anyways, that's just what it reminds me, just like that craziness, hell on earth. So it doesn't sound fun, that's for sure, with the Horsemen. But I just wanted to really kind of get into that, what I thought that the four Horsemen represented to me during now times. So am I saying that the seals have been for sure open? I'm not saying that, but I am saying that, like, kind of what you're talking about, Sean, is that if these are sort of they're using, if God's using them to do these things off and on, eventually he's going to really the Lamb will pop the seals and it will be game on. So this is just like warm-ups, right? Or prepping, I guess, maybe the prep and everything, maybe. So there's two more things I want to get on this, and then I'd like to try to get to maybe if ghosts can smell or taste. I would like to try to get to some of that. That sounds fun. I want to get Bob and Terry Lynn able to talk. I know we have different specialties. That's what makes the Paranormal Council really cool. So some of us don't always get to partake in some of this conversation. So I apologize, Terry Lynn and Bob. I know you guys. But four Horsemen, now, what are they? Because what I see is just referenced as living creatures. That they're never, to me, I do think they were referenced as spirits once, right, in Ezekiel, but they were referenced as living creatures, but there's no angel. Now I know God has given authority to man at times, and I know God's given authority to angels to carry out things on his behalf. So obviously he gives these living creatures authority to do these things. So what are they?
Well, I'll do mine real quick, and I'll try to make this short. Angels is a job description. Satan is a job description. They're all some type of entity, some type of angel, or some type of entity. And that's why sometimes I'll call them entities. They're a spirit of some sort. They are a created being, and they have. And I think the Horseman aspect is kind of a tip of the hat back to the motif. One very important thing I will say before we go on any further about the Horsemen is when you study the seals, the Lamb is breaking the seal. When he breaks the seal, which is Jesus Christ, is kind of most people in Christianity accept that he is the Christ. He's breaking the seal. He's taking the land back. He's taking everything back. Right now, Satan, different people call him different things. Some call him whatever, but
we'll just go with Satan. That's good.
He has certain rule and reign over earth. As he's popping those seals, those horsemen are coming to take it back. And he's bringing destruction over all the bowls, the seals, all that stuff is made for regaining it back. And he's taking back the deed. When we see that Jesus already has the keys to death, hell, and the grave. So he's already taken the keys of that. He controls the afterlife. He took it from the whatever spirit that had it. He took it from them. That's the Christian understanding. So when we go to the Christian understanding of the book of Revelation, it is the Lamb who's taking back the deed title to all the land of the earth. So I'll just kind of stop there. But what they are, I believe they're either a cherubim, a phantom, seraphim. There's some type of entity.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to get that take for sure, because when it was saying living creature, I'm like, well, that's interesting, because a lot of times things are usually referenced as like either an angel or a spirit, something like that. So I just thought that was kind of interesting that it was that type of description. So I didn't know if it was. And a lot of times they're always drawn in like a grim reaper, really scary, way. I don't think they could be. Maybe. I mean, I would imagine some of those cherubs, the way they would look could be scary. I mean, if you really think about the description of.
Well, and if you look at the fiery red horse, it says he's a fiery one. That is a seraphim. Seraphim are fiery.
Right.
So,
because when they talk about 6 wings, right? I mean,
one depiction, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that's kind of scary at anything almost. Like if you see 6 wings, it's like what?
And then the Kosh that's found in Genesis chapter 1 and 6 or 3. I mean, he's known as the shiny one. This is also where you get Lucifer from, stuff like that. So
Stacy, you want to add anything to what you think the 4 horsemen actually are? Or?
Well, I'm not a biblical scholar, so talking about the motifs and the symbolisms behind all of that, I really can't speak to that on any authority. However, what I get from my own religious training and the dead themselves, were undergoing a test. The Bible refers to it a lot as tribulation, apocalypse, which means enlightenment or revealing the truth. We're undergoing a test right now. The things that are going on that we are doing as a society, we're failing that test. We're not doing very well at all. We should know better. Many times throughout history, this cycle keeps repeating itself, and for whatever reason, it either gets stopped or just stops. The whole idea of the genocide of removing 1/3 or 2/3 of the world's population. So at a certain point, people start going, it's kind of a bad idea, and it just stops. This time around, it doesn't look like that's happening. It looks like it's pushing forward this time, and we're failing this test. And what happens on the other side of that test? People are speculating that it's another level of consciousness. We're all going to live in this utopia. I don't know that. I just know that this test that we're doing right now it's going very badly for us, anyway.
And I think you're definitely right, because it seems like when you would watch anything in the news, even protests and stuff like that in the past, there was a point at which it seemed like it's like you don't go there, right? You just don't go there. And now it seems like people have gone there and they keep pushing further. The things that politicians are doing in the spotlight. There's just there was a time when you would just go, no politician would ever survive something like this. Now it's just crazy what people are getting away with and blatantly doing. And again, I'm not trying to be specific. It's just mind-boggling. And all of a sudden, it's like once they realize they could just go there and go there and go there, there's no more pushback anymore. And that's scary. It's like something spilled over that dam, and now the water is just flowing and the dam's breaking, and it's just getting worse.
Yeah, they're literally doing, what you gonna do about it? Come on, what you gonna do about it?
Right.
Nobody's doing anything about it.
Yeah.
And they just keep going further and further and further. And like I said, we're failing the test.
I agree. So, folks, I mean, I think we covered the 4 horsemen. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I learned always a lot. Everybody's so good. You guys, everybody that comes on here. I know Terry Lynn didn't get to add a whole lot to the 4 horsemen. She's like, "Hey, I got blown up even more because Sean, we lost Sean or something here. I don't know what happened to him. He's there, kind of."
So, you keep going. I'll reattach here. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Well, we can hear him at least right now. But yeah, I think we covered the 4 horsemen really well. I hope you guys learned something out there that are watching this. And if you guys out there watching this, if you have anything you want to add, any comments and things like that, be sure to go down in the comment section and let us know your response or what you think of the Four Horsemen as well, or even mirrors. And one more subject I want to cover while we wrap up this last probably like 10 minutes of the show, because unfortunately I have to work my second job tonight, so I can't do a long show. Anyways, this has been a pretty long show, hour and 15 so far. But Terry Lynn,
You're frozen.
who?
There you go. You were frozen. Never mind.
Me? Oh.
I could go and Bob could come back. Maybe he would be more connected. Are you frozen?
I'm just kidding. I'm not frozen.
You're such a dick.
Anyways,
Such a
all
dick, I
right.
swear.
Terry Lynn,
No.
this is your subject. So you asked me today. You said, I think it'd be really cool. Like, can ghosts smell? Can they taste? And that was kind of a question that you wanted to throw out there. So let's start with, who wants to take this first? Stacy.
Yeah, all the five senses they have access to and more. You see that in rituals. They can smell. They love the smell of not only incense, frankincense, myrrh, but also tobacco. Spirits will be attracted by all of those things. Being able to feel, it's more of a, rather than like a fleshy feel, it's more of a empathetic feel. They can feel things through you. If you feel, scared, you feel hot, cold, all of these things, they can sense those things as well and take on those sensations. They don't have a nervous system per se, but, they almost through an empathetic energy can feel all the same things that we can.
Right.
That's what I thought.
Sean, what's your theory on it? Do you think it's possible, or?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's. I agree with what Stacy said. I mean, just to take it a step further to say that from a Christian perspective and what we see, what Scripture's teaching, we see that they can smell. They want to engage these things, and they can on a certain level. But what I've dealt with through some of the possessions and through some of the attachments is that there's some of these spirits that want to experience, like Stacy said, they want to experience it on another level. So they'll inhabit a body of a person to try to do that, or they'll try to take over certain senses of the body to do that. Maybe not a complete, a possession, but that they'll. I've had cases to where, there's certain smells and stuff like that they're drawn to, like Stacy said. So, yeah, absolutely.
I think personally, and I'll let Terry Lynn talk a little bit on this and see if she has some theories on this also. But I'm saving her for last because this was her subject. So, but I think that you can go to, I think a lot of cases of amputees. If you guys know, a lot of the amputees, when they lose a limb, there's many of them that will experience a ghost limb for a long time. And even later on in life, sometimes they'll just feel like they have their arm or their leg or whatever still. So I think in the afterlife, it's definitely reasonable that we're still going to experience, if we're a collection of, say, energy, if our spirit, soul, if we pass on and we're in the afterlife, let's just say you're stuck, whatever, and you're a ghost and you're in between. Let's just say, it's again, in theory, if you can communicate, if you can move, if you can do certain things, that means that even though you have no physical form, that energy still has a consciousness. It still is able to help you form things through energy, form words, form thoughts. It's acting as a virtual brain, so to speak. So to me, it makes sense that yes, you would still be able to synthesize all those emotions and tastes and feelings, and even visually forming yourself in a way. But Terry, what do you think? You asked the question, so what do you think?
It was just a question. I wanted to know what everybody else thought about that. I believe that they can smell. I really do. I didn't know about the taste thing. Well, I don't see why they wouldn't be able to. Well, the only reason I even brought this up is because we were at a sub shop today, and I saw something out of the corner of my eye, and there was nobody else to the right of us. We were all eating, and I saw something, and I could feel that feeling that I get when there's a spirit around. I get a feeling, and I'm like, I thought maybe it was my hat, maybe it had a string, so I can't. And I saw something. It was standing there, and then I saw something just take off. I'm like, and Josh was like looking at me like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "Nothing. Never mind. Nothing. Nothing." I just kept doing this with my hat, thinking I had a string. And then, okay, I said, "Okay, fine." I could have swore I saw somebody standing there, and there's nobody there, and there wasn't a reflection of anybody or anything. And as soon as I said that,
We started debunking.
yeah, I was like I was trying to debunk it. I was looking for reflections, and then next thing you know, we watched the ice maker on the soda machine. I watched it. We all watched the lever go back. How you have to get ice from a drink, and then ice popped out. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess it was thirsty. But that's when I decided to ask if
Well, it goes the other way too. But you just reminded me of something. Have you ever noticed that sometimes a spirit will walk through that smoked tobacco, like a cigar or a pipe or whatever it is? They're not really smoking tobacco. There's no tobacco, there's no smoke, but you can smell it.
Yes.
That is an empathetic memory or an energy that they're contacting you with to let you know that Grandpa was there, because that's his tobacco smell.
Right.
It works the other way. It's a communication thing. You use tobacco to, give an offering for a spirit, like in my religion. But at the same time, they do the same thing back to us when they want you to be aware of them. It is, they're using your senses to communicate with you. But it's not real in the sense of it's not real smoke. It's not real tobacco. It's just the informational energy that they're using. It's the same, on their level, they have that same feelings, these same senses,
right,
on that side.
Yeah, I think I agree. Sean, you want to add anything on that?
It sounds good to me.
Yeah, I guess he was hungry. He was at the sub shop, so he was hanging out there. Whoever it was, I don't know. I was like, why would they be haunting a sub shop or hanging around a sub shop? So.
Well, and again, with you being you and sensitive, like you're more sensitive than me. At that time, like I was just kind of guarded. I really didn't have my feelers out there because we were all hanging out. You know how I am. So it probably was attracted to you because of your light. So probably was like trying to communicate with you or something.
Yeah, I know. Me and my daughter's got a running joke. I'm very sensitive to smells, and fragrant smells, my head just closes up real quick. And she's got this running joke because I don't allow candles in my house, not because of rituals or anything, but because of smells. And she's like, "Daddy, when you die, I'm gonna make sure that I light every scented candle in our house." And she says, "If you come back, I know you won't come back here."
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. She's kind of like that. So she's a good girl though, but she picks on her daddy.
Well, and in the chat, I have to say there's been some activity and stuff like that. I know we've had a lot. I know Matt was talking about he caught a flatulent EVP. Apparently nobody was at home, but he said he is glad that he couldn't. The smell didn't come with it. So that's good. Now I don't know if it was his own, and he just was like, I swear this is a ghost one. I swear it's a ghost fart. But that's what all the
I'm trying to listen to you guys, and I glance down to the chat, and I see that I laugh right in the middle of Stacy talking. He has I look like a psycho over here. I'm like, Matt, you're killing me here. You're making me laugh live.
And Bob kind of gave up. He kept rejoining the show, so he kind of gave up and was in the chat, and he said, "Can a succubus have an orgasm?" And and again, I would just say yes, because that's kind of goes along what we're talking about, and that's probably why succubuses do what they do. And he also said, does an old incubus need to take Viagra? So, but I'm pretty sure in the spirit world, you're probably good to go. All right. I don't think you have to worry about that at that point. That's for your physical body when you're alive. So there you go. There you go, Bob. That answers your question. Are you going to have to refill that prescription when you're dead? No, you're not.
No.
All right.
Skinny? Will we be skinny?
I hope so.
Me too, God. I'm working on it.
I know, right? But yeah, you'll definitely shed some weight when you're dead because, it'll just be your spirit form. And that apparently does have a weight. Now, I don't know. Supposedly there was the study with the weight thing, but then that was also kind of debunked a little. So I don't know if the soul actually weighs that little bit or not that they say, but does energy really weigh, anything?
Yeah, atomic weight, but the soul is less energy and more information. I mean, that's science is now coming around to the idea that information equals MC square. Well, the MC square part is information. You could throw a chair into a black hole, and it would be ripped apart at the accretion disk, and all of the matter would go into the black hole, but the information in the accretion disk could technically be reassembled back into a chair with just energy. So, there's energy all around us all the time. It's the information, our consciousness that, what is consciousness if not information?
Right.
There's no limit to that.
And once we master a black hole, then we can use those as jump points to somewhere, right? And reassemble ourselves somewhere else.
Yeah, or something like that. Higgs boson creates a wormhole. I don't know. It's
right. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to comprehend some of the astrophysics. Like I get it. Again, I try to be an intelligent guy, but some of that stuff still. You just can really get lost in some of the theories and wormholes, and literally you're going down a wormhole instead of a rabbit hole. But anyways, did you guys have anything else as we wrap up?
I'm all good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, listen, guys, it's been a great show. Learned a ton of information. I hope you guys did out there in viewer land. If you did like the Paranormal Council, smash that like button. I see we have one like. So make sure you're out there.
Hold on. Stacey.
Taylor's timing me out.
Don't care. I read your thing, and yes, I'm definitely going to get back to you on that. I got a whole lot of things I need to talk to you about with that, but you've only scratched the surface. And yeah, I am a little batshit crazy.
No, I wasn't calling you batshit crazy.
I know you were calling me batshit crazy. How I
He
did.
said he's surprised you're not.
Yeah, I was shocked that you're not batshit crazy.
Right?
Yeah, you have no. That you're very close. So you'll be shocked to hear what happened in that house. So
well, yeah, give me a call.
So look, I'm just going to generically listen. I'll generically fill in people on this little what you're witnessing. So basically, my wife sent Stacy some photos of her home, and Stacy kind of did some remote viewing on it, and he was very accurate on quite a bit of stuff. So just let you know, again, it's kind of personal information, so we're not exactly sharing it out in public, but we just want to at least let you all know what we had going.
I was raised in a haunted house. There,
pretty much. So, and there's a lot more to it, trust me. But yes, but anyways, guys, great show. Bob, sorry you were popping in and out the whole time. At least you got to come on the show though this time, and you didn't have the demonic voice, and you did get to share a few opinions. So that's awesome. Sean, Stacy, Terry Lynn, again, I'm very proud of you guys. You guys are such good friends. Of course, my wife, Terry Lynn, you're my best friend and soulmate. But you guys really are a good group of individuals. Bob, thank you all for coming on the show. If you guys like the Paranormal Council, again, join us, at the end of the month, every month. We try to do at least one a month. So join us next time, and we'll have some other good subjects for you. Again, these guys are always coming up with some really good stuff to talk about. So I personally would like to get into a little bit of maybe some more spiritual warfare. I think that'd be a great topic. I know Stacy had some interest in that. I know Sean is an expert on spiritual warfare. He came on my show individually and talked about spiritual warfare a few times. And Terry Lynn is great about coming up with some cool, interesting stuff. I'm sure she'll have some more subjects to talk about, or a subject. And Bob says he's probably not going to be out anymore. So who knows? He might just be destined to live in the chat among us and just interject. But Bob, don't give up. We'll try to get you back on here at some point. But other than that, guys, I'm good. So we'll see you all next broadcast.
Bye.